Hey, g'day guys, it's Adam from VideoShowMeHow and we're back. We're back from the Cape trip. Now this one is all about the car itself, the DMAX, the mighty DMAX, how it went, and I'm gonna just sort of do a bit of a walk around of all the bits and pieces, what worked really well, what I wouldn't go without in future, what I definitely recommend, what you could probably do without, because you definitely don't need all of this stuff to be able to go to the top and to do the old telly track. So stick around, let's get started. So overall, really happy with the way the DMAX performed. It went over stuff that I think it had no right of going over. It went up stuff that I think it had no right of going up. So overall, very happy with the truck and the setup. If you haven't seen anything about this and this is the first time to the channel, head on over and check out the playlist because there's about 60 videos on the build of this truck. To start with, I reckon, let's have a look on the inside. As you can see, it is minty fresh. It is Cape trip done and dusted. I haven't cleaned a single thing. Overall, not too bad. The DMAX cabin filter, I'm sure it is caked with red dust now, so I'm definitely on the cards to have a look at that. But overall, it did pretty well inside, even through the crazy Red Bull dust that was going on. It was pretty insane, so I'm overall very happy with the way that it filtered out a lot of the dust and what have you from inside. These are just some El Cheapo. I think these are from Super Cheap, so don't judge me. These were a lastminute.com and I couldn't get anything else in time. They're just a neoprene seat cover. I think you kind of get what you pay for. They aren't the thickest thing in the world. They kept moving around. Probably not the greatest, but they did the job as far as protecting the seats. I'll head on around to the other side just to show you kind of the cockpit, as it were. So here we are where all the magic happened. We had our MaxLiner floor mats in there. I definitely recommend getting some that. This would be a good test. I haven't had a look under there. That looks pretty dang good. Some good quality car mats. Keep the dirt away. On the side, there's some other things. You can see that the quad lock holder here, this is where I had my phone, monitoring some temps, clearing codes after the Nolan incident, like you can see in the daily vlogs. Also had our tablet holder here. This is where I had my mapping 10-inch tablet. I think I've got a post on Instagram showing the setup that I was running. Alpine unit worked well when we had signal, but good for the tunes and that sort of stuff. We do the old walk around of the truck now. To start with, I want to talk about tires. So as you've seen on the channel, and if you've been following the build for a little while, you'll know that I've been running the Maxxis Razor ATs. These are a 285 65 18 on an 18-inch rim. Obviously, these are the KMC Dirty Harry rims. They're certainly dirty at the moment, but I can't speak highly enough of the tires. I've been running Maxxis for a little while. Definitely not sponsored or anything like that, but I'm a big fan. These guys worked an absolute treat. For most of the OTT, I was down at about 16 PSI. No issues at all with any of it. Still in balance, still drove 110 down the freeway when we were hooking it home. I can't find any major chipping or anything out of the tread. No tread blocks have been blasted apart or anything like that. No chunks missing or anything like that that I could find on all four tires when I had a good look. I can see some evidence of some rocks and bits and pieces that have scraped on the sidewalls, a couple of cuts and that kind of thing, but nothing to really worry about. This is probably that's probably the worst one there. But overall, I'm a big fan of these guys and they worked really well. Suspension wise, like you've seen in the videos, we're running the Outback Armour adjustable suspension lift. If you are doing the telly, I recommend definitely getting yourself a good set of suspension. These Outback Armour adjustables worked an absolute treat. With the size of the corrugations up there, I would definitely consider doing some sort of aftermarket suspension, something that's really designed to copper beating, because they definitely will. Continuing on the bottom of the truck, you would see the recovery points that we have on the vehicle from the videos on the channel. These are the ARB recovery points. We tested every scrap of the 8-ton rated strength of these on Logan's Creek. You'll see that in the main video and in the crossings. These things were worth every bit of money, so I'm definitely glad I went with the 8-ton big boy versions because we needed it. Underneath, I think something that is high on my list of recommend is some bash plates. Now these ones are from Custom Off-Road. These are the stainless ones, and you could hear the stones as soon as we got onto the dirt. You could hear the stones pinging up and hitting this, and every single time it happened, I couldn't help but wonder. The factory ones, like you see in the install of these on that video on the channel, I reckon that thing would just get torn to shreds on doing something like the OTT. Just around the car as well, some guards. So these are the Mungie CV boot guards. These guys just in there. They're not very expensive. They are really easy to install. There's literally one bolt. Something similar to that, definitely recommend for a trip like this because it's just going to save your CV boot. Similarly, if you're running a DMAX, definitely get yourself a diff guard actuator protector. The amount of stone chips and stones being flicked up left, right and center is pretty wild, and the last thing you want is that diff actuator to go kaput. And like you've seen on the forums and that kind of thing, to get that replaced means pulling the whole axle, pulling the whole diff center out, and you ain't going to be doing that on the PDR, let me tell you. So cheap insurance there again, less than $100, super easy to install. Definitely recommend those. So right, snorkel, do I need one? The answer is absolutely yes. If you are doing the OTT, you definitely need one. The old Teletrack, you definitely need one for the crossings, mainly because you have Nolan's is the main one. We had water, like you'll see in the main video. Water was solidly up to about here. Now the standard DMAX intake is down here. Up there worth of water, particularly when you're going in at an angle like that, you are ingesting some water. So I would not do the old Teletrack unless you had a snorkel. As far as what's under the engine bay, everything worked okay for me here. I would absolutely recommend doing a gearbox breather if you're running a DMAX or a BT50. There are lots of stories online, and thanks again to the subscriber that reached out telling me about this for his DMAX. Unfortunately, it was flooded. Still up there and still getting sorted out, unfortunately. Hope that's sorted soon for you, mate. I would definitely recommend getting a breather kit and running that high. This guy over here is for the winch, keeping the moisture out there, up nice and high there again. I was checking pretty regularly around hoses and what have you. This guy down here, check that if you have a DMAX, because I had to twist mine around quite a lot because it was rubbing on this guy here and had already taken a bit of a groove out of that hose, and that is your return line for your diesel too. So it's a bit scary, Isuzu. You probably want to check that coming out of the factory. That's an easy fix though. Unloosen your clamp and pivot that around, tighten it back up, you're all good. The extra fuel filter on there, I didn't have any issues with anything there. I did keep the spare one. I took that with me just in case I got some bad fuel, but it wasn't required. Everything worked a-okay there. So that's about it for underneath the hood. From a front of the vehicle perspective, there's a few things going on. From a lights perspective, I managed to lose one of the covers. I've got no idea where the heck that went. I'm pretty sure that's in Logan Creek somewhere, upgrading the bottom of the mud channel. I'm not sure, but it wasn't there when I came out, so it's in there somewhere, and it still is. From a lighting perspective, we're still rocking the Supernova 8.5 Infinites. Crazy amount of light. You can see the videos on the channel for these ones. They're just absolutely insane. I left them on there. We then of course have our light bar at the top. If you're going in the dark, I definitely recommend some sort of light because there are a lot of animal strikes that you can see happen. I have no doubt that if you're driving at night, you're going to see lots of roos and what have you come across. There is a lot of roadkill, and I'm sure that's obviously all happening at night. So I would definitely be getting some, maybe not too extreme like we've got here, but definitely a good set of driving lights is a must. Check out the video on the Supernovas if you're interested in those. Outside of that, we have my absolutely munted number plate that I bashed back in place. We've got new ones of those coming. The Ultra Winch, this is their version 2. I think they're up to version 4 now with some extra refinement. This is the 9.5 PDX, and we put this thing through the ringer. It got us out of a few sticky situations just on the wireless remote too. Didn't need to plug anything in, so that worked really well. From a bar perspective, you can see this is still that prototype bar that I've been running for a little while. The big main recovery I needed to do at Logan Creek really did a number on the car. I had sensors popping out all over the place. This one is still in the bar down in here somewhere, and you can see it's actually dinted. This is where most of the impact was. It's actually dinted the steel itself. So I need to sort that out. I may actually go for a different style of bar maybe. Definitely be pulling this guy off and having a good look at it, because we went straight in and you can see where it's dinted in here. Super strong in where the winch cradle is, which is the main nuts and bolts of it. We definitely gave it a workout. From a side steps perspective, the very first obstacle we came across at the old Teletrack was Palm Creek, going down one of the gnarly bits, not the full crazy first up gnarly bit. You'll see that in the crossing video, but we got hung up on this one here because it's such a steep ramp over. But to their credit, we had the whole weight of the car on the side here, and it just perfectly scraped down the side. They paid for themselves straight up. I was super stoked with those because our sills are still nice and straight and we still have the step going on. So if you're running an IFS truck, I would definitely recommend getting some sort of side step, mainly so you can access the roof easier, of course, give you something to stand on, but also give your sills some much needed protection because of course you're not quite as tall as those patrols on 35s. Talking of protection, if we come around the back, we're still running our TJM rear bar. That ramp angle on the way out of different bog holes and what have you and dropping down. The DMAX isn't too bad with its ramp coming out and overhang past the rear axle, but having that extra protection underneath, it definitely copped it a bunch of times and hasn't budged. Still nice and straight. So a big fan, definitely recommend some sort of protection underneath your tub. If we have a look at what we were running up top, to start with, let's have a look at the roof rack. This is the off-road animal scout rack. And this thing is still solid as we weren't running a lot of weight up the top there. We just had our Max Tracks sitting at the top here on the standard Max Tracks holders. We put the swag in the middle here when we're on the track, so it's easy to jump on and then take straight back off at the end of the day. Solar panel on the top there. That was great on top of the 230 Saber X. This was their new rooftop tent we were testing there for the trip. Nice and easy to set up. Only the 4 clips, front and rear, and boom, you're set up ready for bed. This is the canopy. So we've got the full build of the canopy on the channel and I am super stoked with that. This whole Cape trip was a test for this thing to see just how strong it was. We've got 80 kilos worth of rooftop tent. We've got 20 odd kilos worth of 230 Falcon 270 awning sitting on here as well. And it was a real test to go, well, how strong is this canopy? Does it move? Did it leak? Did it anything? And the answer is no. It worked really well. I'm very stoked with how it went. Apart from some dust on the inside, which these seals just didn't hold up, there's no dust coming in from the canopy itself. I'll just open it all up. The canopy hasn't moved a little bit. You can see all the seals all down the sides here are still completely intact. And the clearances and everything is exactly as I had them when I set the thing up. So very, very stoked with how it went overall. You can see in the roof, hopefully you can see in the roof. I'll just give you a bit of a close up there. All the seal points all the way along are still clean as, nothing's moved all the way along. All the wiring, all those little P-clamps are still exactly where I left them. So I'm very happy with the canopy overall. I think the doors, that was excellent. I loved the fact that I could just open it up and get easy access on all 3 sides to reach in and grab gear. It was great being able to just, access from the side if I needed 12 volt via the store mod on the front here and all of that kind of thing. I had everything all wired in so that I could just turn on or off any lighting, that kind of thing, all switchable. So yeah, canopy wise, big tick from me. You'll see the full part 2 of the install video on that on the channel soon. That's probably about it. Let's have a bit of a look around at what else is going on. But I think overall, they're probably the main things that I'd call out as your must-haves. The main things are really for me is around the reliability stuff and making sure that you're set up as best you can for if anything does go wrong, have you got the kit to be able to fix anything. Now the next step for me here really is to give this thing a clean because it is a bit of a disaster zone. I think it's probably worth giving you guys a bit of a view as well. What do you reckon? So I think I might stop this thing here just for the moment. I'll give this guy a full clean and show you what it looks like when it's back to road mode. So you'll see that in 3, 2, 1. And here we go. 4,000 hours later, let me tell you, I think there is more Cape red dirt in my driveway now than there is up at the Cape. But anyway, we are all nice and clean and respectable. Well, clean anyway. We'll see what we think about respectable. But there you go. It's come up an absolute treat. We've got all the red dirt off. But other than that, that is it for the gear video. The DMAX is looking pretty once again. Thank you very much to the patrons of Video Show Me How. You guys, you all know that. You're a bunch of legends. If you're interested in getting involved with what's going on over at Patreon, obviously a little bit of extra support for me to bring out videos just like this one never goes astray, and I'm very much appreciative of that. I try and do produce monthly and a bit giveaways for everyone over there, just as an extra bit of thank you as well. So if you want to check out how all that works, head on over to patreon.com/VideoShowMeHow. That'll give you all the details and you can check out what's going on over there. Now there's stacks of other Cape videos that are coming at you. They may be on the channel by the time you are watching this. So head on over, make sure you subscribe to check all of those out as they come out. But other than that, guys, as always, I hope that you have an amazing day and I will see you in the next video. Cheers, guys.